This is Derrick Broze. This is Derrick Broze of the Conscious Resistance. I'm here in Standing Rock.
That man is wanted in 5 different countries: Chile, Argentina, Brazil.
We've been fighting a long time. We have all lost so very much. So many loved ones gone.
Don't you fucking tease that horse!
You are not alone. There are pockets of resistance all around the planet. We are at the brink. Above all, stay alive. You have no idea how important you are. If you're listening to this, you are the resistance.
Hey everyone, this is Derrick Broze of the Conscious Resistance Network. Today is May 9th, 2023, and I've got an important interview that I want to share with you guys today with an old friend of mine, somebody who you've seen on this channel before if you've been following the Conscious Resistance for a couple of years. He's a contributor to our site periodically. Also, the person that introduced me to a lot of the ideas that you guys hear me share about on the Conscious Resistance. I'll mention our website's theconsciousresistance.com. You can go there to find all my content, as well as other contributors, including John Bush, who we're about to talk to. You can see some of his past videos. And I encourage you to bookmark that and check it out once a week or so. We're going to talk to John today about his work building parallel systems, parallel networks, specifically his upcoming event, the Exit and Build Land Summit, which is happening next weekend in Bastrop, Texas, Central Texas. There's still time to get virtual tickets, still time to come in person if you want. But without further ado, let's bring on John. How you doing, brother?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm excited for this event to share this with everybody. I wanted to maybe take a step back though before we dive into that, because I know there's a lot to cover with the event. And as I was just mentioning, you've contributed to our site before. It's been a little while, but you have your own website as well. And I wanted to share that with everybody before we dive deeper. Why don't you tell my audience who might not be familiar with Live Free Academy and some of the things you do over there, a little bit about what it's all about and just what's the whole goal of Live Free Academy?
Sure. Well, Live Free Academy is a company I created in April 2021, and the whole purpose is to help empower people so they can create greater freedom in their lives. And while there's a big emphasis on things people can do in their own personal life, transition away from the banks, learn to use Bitcoin, build community, become more self-reliant, become more successful, operate with some outside the system income and network. It's also about what can we do in our lives in order to build stronger communities. So it's changing our lives, but don't stop there, right? But we radiate all of that outward, and we hope to have an impact on our community. And then as you share too, something that really, that I appreciated, the work that we do today, we need to have a mind towards impacting the future generations yet to come. So we do a lot of workshops, both in person and online. We do a lot of free webinars. We're responsible for hosting the Greater Reset activation here in Central Texas, which we do in Bastrop. And then, of course, we do the annual Exit and Build Land Summit. But we've built a really strong community, and it's just all about empowering people to become more successful, to live a life more in alignment with their values, and to help overcome limiting beliefs and obstacles that may be holding them back.
Awesome. And that's exactly why, we collaborate together, as I mentioned, and John, you share often that we've inspired each other over the years. It's been now, I think, 12 years or 11 to 12 years since we first connected around End the Fed stuff. And, you were one of the first people to point out in a talk that I heard in Houston at the End the Fed rally 2011, which you can still find on YouTube, that if we really wanted to end the Federal Reserve, we needed to stop using the Federal Reserve and find ways to, create and support alternative systems. And that really just resonated and has continued to reverberate through all my work till today. So thank you for pointing that out and illustrating that. And in line with that, you talked about, you do webinars, you do summits, you're hosting the Texas Greater Reset. I host the Mexico version. You also have this amazing event, which I'm honored to be a part of for the third time, the Exit and Build Land Summit. We're coming up on number 3. But again, let's go ahead and just give everybody some more background. This is, like you mentioned with Live Free Academy, you do things here, crypto, decentralized tech, entrepreneurship, and homesteading. The Land Summit is more specific to the land and the homesteading aspect. Is that correct?
Yeah, for sure. And I strongly feel, and of course, you're on the same page, that if we want to create freedom in our lives, it's critical that we exit these big cities. There was already all sorts of tyranny, being around this movement and pursuing freedom for so long before this whole technocracy thing started popping off, back when it used to just be some essay that the Club of Rome put out or something 30 years ago. There was some traditional tyranny, the police state, the IRS, excessive bureaucracy, the drug war, right? So it was already important to move out of the city because that stuff was most prevalent there. But now that we have this great reset, this technocracy that's so prevalent, especially after COVID, I think it's more important than ever that free people exit the cities where the smart city agenda is going to go down. Agenda 21 was all about resource management, herd people into the cities so they can be more easily controlled. And then, of course, there was smart growth and sustainable development. And now the latest iteration is this 15-minute city concept. It's all the same damn thing. It's how can we more effectively control human beings and every single bit of biodiversity on the planet, for that matter. So we're trying to encourage free people to exit the cities, build community in the country, buy land if you can. If you can't, then that's fine too. You could park an RV on somebody's property. You can rent a space, whatever it may be. We're just encouraging people to get out of the city. And I think there really is something important about reconnecting with the earth, using permaculture principles, not only being in harmony with one another, but also being in harmony with the planet as well.
Yeah, very well said. We got our buddy Richard Grove here chiming in. The Great Reset is an anti-human movement. Shout out to Richard and all the hard
He'll be
work.
speaking.
Cool. Good to hear. Yeah. Shout out to everybody at Autonomy and all the hard work they do over there. So yeah, I mean, you outlined, I think most of our audience, right, is going to be familiar with the reasons to get out of the city, or at least to be concerned about it. Maybe not everybody's convinced. I have some friends who are aware of all the things we're talking about here, but for whatever reason, they still think that there's going to be safety in the future in the city, or maybe they just don't want to hold on. You know, I love the city. I grew up in the city.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a weird guy. I feel like I either want to be in the country or in the city, but I hate the suburbs. I can't stand the suburbs. It feels dead to me. But like in the city, you know, there's all kinds of food. There's music and arts, entertainment, and so much cool stuff to get into, and people, and, you know, there's positive elements, obviously. But then everything else we know is coming. And I think that there's some people who are maybe having trouble, quote unquote, like letting go of those things they love about the city and thinking of being out in the country. Maybe some people see that as like almost giving up something, or that they're going to be alone or isolated. Could you speak to some of those concerns?
Yeah, I'm with you. There's a middle path, right? The Buddha taught about the middle path, and I think we're pursuing the middle path here. So Rebecca and I, my wife, we moved out of Austin. We used to live in a tiny home in downtown Austin. I grew up in Austin, in the suburbs, mostly myself, but we lived in East Austin, close to downtown. And so we're about 45 minutes away from the downtown city center of Austin. So we have the benefit of being in the rural area. We have the benefit of having a big piece of land. We have a 10-acre homestead. We have the benefit of having some cool, laid-back, independent-minded, conservative neighbors. A lot of freedom cell people here in Bastrop County and the neighboring county. It's like a small town-style place, but there's like 170 people on our Bastrop Fayette County Telegram group, which I think is pretty cool for a small area. This freedom cell thing is really pretty predominant all over the place. In fact, on our small farm to market road, there's literally 5 different households within 5 to 8 minutes that just so happen to be part of the freedom cell network. It's rather incredible. But no, I'm with folks. There's a lot of benefits of the city: music, arts, entertainment, family, corporate jobs, hustle and bustle, things to do. So sometimes I think it's worthwhile to exercise this middle path and to not go all the way out in the middle of nowhere, although some people choose to pursue that. But by positioning yourself so you're still within a somewhat short drive to get to the city and access the benefits of the city. There are benefits, not going to lie. Austin's a great place. There's great live music. There's great entertainment. And there's great restaurants. My family's in Austin. But still, if crap really hits the fan, it's obvious to see where things are going in the big cities. We have that safety of being well outside of the cities, surrounded by a bunch of country folk that are, you know, armed to the teeth with guns and stuff. And, you know, I think there may be some people in our community that deep down inside, they know that it's a more safe bet. They're going to be able to experience greater freedom, but people really struggle with change. And at the end of the day, it's not the easiest thing to do to buy a piece of land, as I'm sure you've experienced. You guys have been at it for a long time. You finally reached that goal, right? But there was a lot that went into it, a lot of obstacles and hurdles to overcome. And I think some people, it's easier just to sit with the status quo than it is to push themselves out of their comfort zone to make something happen. But again, there's that middle path. You can still enjoy the benefits of Houston or Austin or any major city, but you're positioned on the outskirts or further than the outskirts of town. So you get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I think that's a good position for many people. The Erie Fairy, who's a regular listener, says it is isolating if you're single. At least it is for me. So that's something to think about, though. And I think that the key, though, what John's getting at, whether you're single or a couple or family, is that community is key. And then also the more interactive you come, like if you come to the Exit and Build Land Summit, you're going to meet hundreds of other people from not just Texas, but from all over the U.S. and sometimes outside of the U.S. who are thinking of these things, right? And that's a great place to meet a potential partner. If you're single and you're looking to find somebody, I really think you should come to events like this, not even just Exit and Build, but in general, getting out, coming to freedom events in person. We've really been emphasizing that the last couple months, just how important it is to get out from behind the screen. And I just mean that generally for anybody out there who's interested in this, but feels like, well, I don't have any friends to go with, or I don't have a partner or a husband or a wife to pursue this with. I'm all by myself. Or there's some people, I know you get the same emails I do, John, people who are getting a little bit older and they start to worry they've got money, but they don't have a community. They don't got anybody to do it with. So community is going to be key, and that's why the Freedom Cell Network is so important. I want to mention a couple of things on the event before we get into, I'll share a little bit about what I'm going to share. Just want to mention for anybody who's this far in and has already thought, oh, well, this is too expensive, or I can't come in person, it's too late, I'm just hearing about it. You guys are selling virtual tickets, correct, John? Or what's the situation with watching virtually?
Yeah, so people can sign up absolutely for free, and I encourage you to sign up on one of the links Derrick shared there in the show notes or the description. You can watch the first day and a half. So it's a 5-day event. Day 1 and day 5, however, are for in-person attendees to go visit farms and local intentional communities, so we can really demonstrate hands-on what it's like to live out on a homestead and have people working and raising livestock or doing the gardening kind of thing. But day 2, 3, and 4, the 19th, 20th, and 21st, that's going to be the actual conference portion. So people can sign up absolutely for free. We always try to make things as accessible as possible, but then there's also a value exchange opportunity to go deeper. So if you want to sign up for free, you can get the first day and a half. You'll be able to see Derrick's talk. You'll be able to see Curtis Stone, Patrick Wood, tons of other speakers. Or if you want to get a virtual immersion pass, you'll be able to watch all 3 days. You'll be able to ask questions. You'll get the replays and all sorts of other bonuses as well. We do have childcare as well. We have vegan choices for folks that have different dietary needs. So we're really trying to make this event something that anyone can come to, no matter what their background, no matter what their health situation, no matter what their age. We try to make it as accessible as possible.
Let's talk about some of the speakers now. First of all, thanks though. Like, I'm glad you mentioned the childcare. That's always important to people, and vegan options. I'm a vegan, so other vegans out there, feel free to come and enjoy the good food along with our meat-eating friends who are on a similar homesteading path. Yeah, and I'll share in a moment about some of what I plan to discuss for my talk. But John, do you want to? I know we got Curtis Stone right here on screen. That's really exciting. Curtis is going to be in person, which is pretty amazing. Are there any other? Obviously, you're excited about everybody, but are there any other standouts that you're really thrilled about getting this year?
Yeah, we're really excited to have Curtis. This is going to be the first time that he's left Canada since the whole COVID thing popped off, and I actually just saw an email that he sent about this course that he put together. So I reached out to him to see about opportunities to promote his course, and just, on the off chance that he could come, I mentioned, we'd love to have you as a speaker, and we managed to pull it off. So really excited to have him. He's just a living example. He spoke at one of the greater resets, and I thought it was real cool because they rented a 1/4-acre lot near their house, and they put together a community garden that, with a few people in the area, that produced so much money, they were able to feed their entire families. Multiple people participated, like 6 or 7 households, something. And then they were able to turn a profit as well. So I thought it was a great example, because a lot of people are like, I don't have money to buy land. I live in the city. And a lot of people are just kind of stuck in this victim space. But the empowered people are like, let's work with what we have. We don't even have to own the land in order to grow enough food for ourselves. And so I think he really embodies that. Really excited to have Jeff Lawton. Like, he's arguably the living legend when it comes to permaculture today. He's going to be doing a virtual 2-hour workshop. So we tried to get him in person. He's in Australia, didn't end up working out, but we have him for 2 hours. So he's going to present on some permaculture practices. We're going to ask him to focus on like design and permaculture design for a homestead and land. But he's going to take questions for quite some time. So we're really excited to have Jeff Lawton. He's a pretty big deal. And so is Michael Reynolds, another headliner. This is the guy behind the Earthship. Really cool dude. Shows you how to make a home in a very scrappy way, completely off-grid. He's gone toe-to-toe with the bureaucrats, and he has a really solid strategy for how to deal with them, kind of like Jedi mind trick style, which I appreciate. And of course, Patrick Wood, he's arguably the leading expert on technocracy, up there with Derrick Broze. He's going to talk about smart city specific. So we focus 90% on the problem, maybe 98%. I'm sorry, 98% on the solution. But we do like to make sure everybody's aware, so we can kind of light a fire under people's rear ends. Like, there is major problems going on in this world. We don't need to be naive about it, but let us understand the problem so we can more easily navigate around it and opt out of it. Jack Spirko, Broze, of course, will be there. Tons of really solid folks, and we have a whole list of everybody. Oh, Del Bigtree's wife is going to be presenting as well, Lee Bigtree. She's a powerhouse in her own right as far as education and creating this homeschool co-op that's a private membership association they've been doing under the radar since all the COVID stuff. We're really excited to have her as well.
Very, very cool, man. You got a good, diverse lineup of people that I'm excited about. And again, this is next weekend, May 18th to the 22nd in Texas, Bastrop, Texas. There's virtual tickets available. John mentioned, the options you have if you want to come in person, do the farm tours, which I highly encourage you to do. I plan to check out some of those this year. And I'll mention some of what I'm going to get into, but I do want to just get you to address this comment, John, from YouTube, because you're usually good at handling these kind of concerns or thoughts. But this fun one here, it's always a course/subscription to change your life. And this is just, I think, some general complaining, which there's haters out there. But to somebody who might be skeptical and say something along those lines, why is it that I feel like people are always selling me things to try to get me to be free? And you talk often about the commitment and the effort and like you say, putting some skin in the game to make it clear that you want to get information, right? I mean, nobody else out there is typically expected to work for free, but when it comes to activists, journalists, content creators online, people believe that we should just be doing this for free, and that venues don't cost money, speakers don't cost money, food doesn't cost money. So what would you say about that to kind of encourage somebody to, maybe take a different perspective?
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I got some flack today too. Somebody posted the Kool-Aid Man, and they're like, it's a message, not a business, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, here's the deal. This is a business. Live Free Academy is most definitely a business, and we employ or contract with over 17 people. So we're providing work for people to do work that they love, that's fulfilling. Not only that, but it feeds my family. We pay our mortgage. We have goals and big ambitions that require money. But I think the big thing is when people make these kind of comments, honestly, it says more about their relationship with money than it does about the person that's asking for money in exchange for goods or services. And like you said, nobody works for free. So the people that make these comments, the way that I reply is like, okay, let me ask you this. What is it that you do for a living? And do you give away your labor for free? Because myself, I'm putting in 60 to 70 hours a week, oftentimes, especially when it comes to these events, sometimes more. And we're really doing a lot of work to wake a lot of people up and to empower people. And it's people like that. I don't even want them in my audience. I don't want to do business with them. I want to do business with the people that are grateful for the work that we're putting in to help inspire and empower people. And at the end of the day, those that pay attention. Not to mention the ultimate irony, and this is true about you too, Derrick, is like we give away so much value and so much free stuff all the time, and we're not holding back in any way. We do free webinars. You give your freaking books away, and I know they take so much work for you to put into it. So people can show up for free and watch for the first day and a half. You don't have to pay. But what I noticed in myself, and I spent a lot of money on self-development and self-improvement. Last year, I spent over $20,000 for myself and my team to get educated, to get trained up on sales, marketing, self-improvement. When you put some money into something, it's an investment, and you're far more likely to pay attention and to implement the material that you paid for, as opposed to something that you're just watching for free. And this proved out with the very first X and a Build Land Summit. We had 28,000 people register to watch for free online. We had about 600 to 700 people pay for a virtual immersion pass. Of the people that registered for free, around 5 to 10% of the people showed up to watch live. Of the people that paid, around 40 to 50% of the people showed up to watch live. So it proves out time and time again, if you want to make a difference in your life, sometimes you have to invest in yourself. And for the people that fault us for charging for the services that we provide, which we often charge very reasonable rates, and more often than not, actually every single time we strive to over deliver on what it is that we're charging, like I said, I would challenge the people that are making those complaints to take a deep, hard look in the mirror and ask themselves, what is it with my relationship about money that makes me say these types of things and feel this way about good people doing good things in the world?
All right, fair enough. Thanks for addressing that, John. Just wanted to give you a chance to share that. Let's jump back into now. We're talking with John Bush of Live Free Academy about the Exit and Build Land Summit, which is taking place in Texas, May 18th to the 22nd. Virtual options, in-person options, farm tours. Come connect with speakers like Curtis Stone, myself. I will be speaking, and I'm excited because this is going to be the first presentation I give specifically about my land project, the Conscious Agora Eco Village. Most of my audience is probably familiar, but for those who are not, I moved to Mexico in March 2020. I live now between Texas and Mexico and started to look for land pretty much right at the beginning of COVID 1984. I already decided prior to COVID, any of that I wanted to move to Mexico, knew that I wanted to get land. I even wrote about it in my book, Manifesto of the Free Humans, back in 2017, saying that I would start this around 2020. Timing worked out, and because of COVID, we fast-tracked our plans, and myself and my partner Miriam, we've been down here now 3 years, visiting this beautiful country and learning from locals and from expats and people who've already done it out here. We went and visited the longest existing intentional community in Mexico that's been around for 40 years now, and got to interview the founders and ask questions and just pick their brains. So I've done a lot of homework the last 3 years, while we've also been getting our group together. We started with hundreds of people. We narrowed it down to 50 people. And then just about 2 weeks ago now, we signed for the land. We now have the title, we have the property, and came down to only 4 households. So from hundreds to 4 households, we're going to grow from there. But we really narrowed it down to a good group of people that we could feel good about going forward financially and getting the land secured. And then from there, we're going to add some more families. But I will be speaking at the Land Summit, specifically outlining everything that we've done the last 3 years, from that email process, the sort of intake application process, to what criteria we looked for, and as also discussing some of the tips that I got from other community members, people who have had communities for decades here in Mexico and Costa Rica and the US and elsewhere, down to the fine details of finally finding the paperwork, signing the paperwork, and also the structure that we're going to use. I'm going to share a lot of info in a short amount of time at the Land Summit, and I'll be hopefully hopefully you guys are coming with notes, because I'm going to really try to make it as detailed as possible for the first time. We've kind of kept it a little bit not secret, but because I've mentioned the Conscious Agora, but we haven't fully brought it out to the public until this event. So this will be the first time that we're really going to be sharing. We have a website now that we're getting upgraded for the Land Summit that'll have a lot of details people can check out. And we've just now started to fulfill our crowdfunding commitments. We had so many people come together. We raised about $23,000 that went towards the purchase, including some support from Live Free Academy. So thank you for that. And now we're just moving on to the phase of, we have the land, and now let's start our master plan and building, hopefully within the next year. And, the fun really just begins. So I'm really excited to share all that info with everybody who attends in person or virtually to the Exit and Build Land Summit.
Heck yeah. Yeah, we're really excited to hear from you, Derrick. And you are somebody that embodies the whole, walk the walk kind of deal. There's a lot of people talking, and one thing that we try to do with our work, the Freedom Cell Network, Greater Reset, the work you do with Conscious Resistance, the work I do with Live Free Academy, is we try to encourage people to do more than complain and to do more than research, right? There's a lot of folks that are extremely overwhelmed. There's so much information out there. There's a lot of influencers and journalists and outlets that sensationalize what's going on. Not to say that we're not facing some serious stuff here, and that the world is on a pretty rough trajectory. But one thing that I realize is when people focus all of their attention and energy on the problem, and they spend a significant amount of their time every day on social media, watching documentaries on Rumble, is they have a tendency to be anxious and overwhelmed, and anxiety and overwhelm is a killer of action. And the more that you get out into the community, the more that you work on the community garden, the more that you get the kids together at the potluck, the more that you go to these in-person events and be surrounded by other people that are focused on solutions, other freedom-minded people, the more empowered you feel, and literally, metaphysically, physically, spiritually, literally and figuratively, the more free you truly are. So that's one thing that I always appreciate about you, Derrick, ever since we've met. early on, it was rabble rousing and protesting, and but you got on that whole solutions mindset and really started transforming your life and then leading by example. So I'm really excited to hear what it is that you've done. River and Amani too are about to close on a property in Tennessee. They're fulfilling their dream. We have ambitions here in Central Texas. You guys are doing that thing down in Mexico. So it's really exciting to see people in our movement that are working together and to actually pull this off, to buy the land and to experiment with new forms of social organization, new forms of food production, and really build a better world.
Absolutely. And and I'm still down for some rabble rousing when the cause is right. So yeah, guys, everyone, again, look at the link in the description wherever you're watching or listening. I've dropped it a couple times now as well in the chats. You can see the specific link that I shared, which is my affiliate link. So if you want to support me while also supporting Exit and Build and get a virtual pass or in-person pass, I highly recommend you doing so. There's going to be lots of good people, lots of good information. I know last time we also did like a sort of a freedom cell workshop where we had people break out. For those of you who maybe keep hearing about freedom cells but don't really quite get it, coming in person and learning from myself and John and from others who are actually doing it is the best way to learn, really. So highly encourage you to do that. Anything else, John, we should mention? Any deadlines as far as tickets people should know about?
If you're going to come in person, definitely get your tickets as soon as possible. We're having incredible farm-to-table meals. So on the 3 days of the conference, meals are included with your tickets. We have an amazing chef that we work with for the past several events. Really solid guy that cranks out some really good food. And the cool thing is the farm tours people take on the Thursday and Monday of the event, we're sourcing food from those farms to create the meals that people have at the conference. So you literally, if you come in person, you'll be able to see some of the plants and vegetables that will make up the food during the actual meal. Really excited about that. But I was saying that to share, like, if you want to come in person, we're going to put a deadline. I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but it's going to be in the next, probably this week, where you got to get your tickets now if you want to have a meal pass. And then you asked something earlier. A lot of people think that what it is we're doing with this exit and build thing is some sort of retreatism, escapism, defeatism. And, I thought about that a lot and sat with it. And in all honesty, nothing could be further from the truth. What we're literally doing is putting in the hard work. We're like pioneers. In fact, that's this piece of art. It's called New Pioneers. And on the other side, I only have the positive side, but on the other side, it's dark, destruction, death, war, crushed cities, people dying, dead bodies, and then it transitions. The new pioneers are looking to a new way that's all in alignment with permaculture, a more harmonious way to live. And so what we're doing really is way more challenging, in my opinion, than fighting the old system or voting or yelling at government buildings. We're like going into the unknown, experimenting with new forms of social organization to show the masses and our community first that there's another way to live. So it's not giving up. In fact, we're not giving up on humanity. We have hope for humanity. But if we are to carry the light of liberty forward, we got to figure out these new systems, because the old way of doing things, even if you put a new person in power, your buddy in power, somebody like Ron Paul or RFK Jr. now is going to get everybody excited. And no disrespect, because I really love what the guy's got to say for sure. And he's really throwing some haymakers, dropping CIA killed JFK stuff on Fox News, which is really good for public consciousness. But at the end of the day, that system, if we focus all of our energy in that system, it's only repeating the cycles of coercion. It's a revolution, revolving, going round and round in circles. So we're not escaping. We're not throwing our hands up and waving a white flag. Rather, we are showing people that there's another way to live, and we're trying to prove out these decentralized, voluntary, transparent systems by building them and living them.
Absolutely. Well said, brother. All right, guys, you've heard it. Exit and Build Land Summit 3. Links are where in the description, and there's lots to get into. Check out the website if you want to get more specific details: childcare, vegan options, in-person farm tours, in-person speakers, community workshops. I would be there if I wasn't already speaking, so I encourage you guys to go check it out. I'll also mention one more thing. You can find John on Twitter, for those of you who do the Twitter thing, at John B. Live Free. Look, I finally got to do it back to you. And if you want to find my website, theconsciousresistance.com. Guys, thank you so much for joining us today. And as always, remember, you are powerful.
You're beautiful.
You are free. Peace, guys.
Peace.
Since 2012, the Conscious Resistance Network has been an independent media organization focused on empowering individuals through education, philosophy, health, and community organizing. We work to create a world where corporate and state power do not rule over the lives of free human beings. Our motto is leading by example and helping others in their pursuit of freedom. Visit theconsciousresistance.com to find our articles, documentaries, interviews, podcasts, books, and more. Remember, you are powerful, you are beautiful, and you are free.